So in these challenging times, we appreciate and thank you all for making the effort to attend our celebration tonight. As I look out across the room, I see many familiar faces and also a few faces that I will have met for the first time tonight, but regardless, you are all friends and very much welcome. When I think of our friendship, I think of it in terms of things we have done together. For some, it may have been a steak dinner at a VFW hall, attending a holiday party at your home, graduation party, a wedding, outdoor barbecue, swim in your pool. For others, it goes a little deeper. I've known some of you your entire lives. Then there are some who I have known my entire life. For a select number here tonight, it goes beyond just us. Our parents were best friends. And even though they are gone, we have remained friends. While others I have known since high school, through my Marine Corps service, working for the VA.
You need a bigger font. You need a bigger font.
You know, I like these politicians. I couldn't afford a teleprompter. So, Military Officers Association of America, Italian American War Veterans, the Marine Corps League, and of course, friends through Audra. It may have been a MOA-sponsored baseball game or shooting at a pistol range, then enjoying a lunch filled with camaraderie, tall tales. Perhaps experiencing fine dining at a number of restaurants or sampling a myriad of wines in the Grand River Valley east of Cleveland. More importantly than the length of time we have known each other, I cherish all the shared adventures and experiences that we have had together. Exploring Northfield Racetrack as a kid while our fathers tried to get that big win. Any number of high school parties or a field trip to our neighbor to the north. A road trip to Memphis, a road trip to Florida and taking an airboat ride in the Everglades. Going across country both ways. A couple of long weekends in Vegas. And I would say what stays in Vegas, you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but I can hardly remember what happened last night. So that's not an issue. Experiencing a number of all Marine officer weekends, whether at the Outer Banks or in Lexington, the Bourbon Trail, Thoroughbred Racing in Lexington, Kentucky, or fishing on Lake Erie. Etched in my memory are other adventures, such as going to the bedspread factory in Isola d'Iliri, which is near Naples, Italy, or taking a tour of the Amalfi Coast or traveling to Iceland for a visit, skiing the Laurentian Mountains outside of Montreal, eating lobster in Newport, Rhode Island, and literally bumping into each other on the dance floor of the NATO Officers Club in Naples, Italy, when neither of us were stationed there and we just happened to be in town at the same time. Okay. Others, it's enjoying R&R in San Francisco Bay Area to some obscure Turkish beach, drinking strong Turkish beer, supervising the backload of the Marine Amphibious Ready Group, to nearly getting captured or worse in Beirut, to skiing in the Sierra Nevada mountains in Spain, to skiing Vail, Colorado. Skiing in Birch's Garden, or as Hitler called it, the Eagle's Nest, that's Germany. To trying to get into the casino in Monte Carlo when someone was wearing tennis shoes. Who knew they had a dress code? Eventually we did get in, and they did take our money. From scuba diving in Mexico and the Grand Caymans to visiting Mayan ruins. From scuba diving in the Pacific to driving throughout New England, eating as much seafood as our stomachs could ingest. Using a combination of planes, trains, buses, automobiles, and ferries, encompassing many trips over a number of years that took us from eastern Turkey, near the Syrian border, Yugoslavia, Greece, Switzerland, the Balearic Islands, Italy, Denmark, Germany, the south of Spain, everywhere in the middle, and to include driving through the Atlas Mountains in North Africa. I could go on, but we would end up eating breakfast tomorrow instead of dinner tonight. All right, we're almost done. Again, thank you for coming. We are honored by your presence tonight. Before I turn the floor over to my lovely wife, as some of you may know, I have been self-deployed to San Diego. Now, I know what you're thinking. Poor son of a gun. You know, beaches, food, weather. But you got to do what you got to do. And you're probably thinking, this guy can't get a break. So all that you see here is Audra's doing. She did the heavy lifting. And she put it all together. Now, before you start getting all teary-eyed for her, in my defense, I was available for support, guidance, and as always, supervision. We call it stick and rudder in the Naval Service. So everything seems to have fallen into place. So all that money that the Marine Corps spent to send me to all these schools has paid off for all the guidance that I've offered. So without any further ado, I give you Mrs. DeMarco.
All right.
All right. Number one, I hate public speaking. But number one, I wanted to say thank you for attending. All of my family, my old friends, my new friends. Frank didn't really mention how we met. So I started with the Department of Veterans Affairs in June of 2014. And it was kind of a life-changing thing. I worked in consulting for 18 years with HR benefits consulting, and after that I was just like, I need a change. So I'm like, all right, going to the Department of Veterans Affairs. Get hired June 2014. December 2014, I get hired, or I wouldn't say hired, but I get assigned to Frank's team. So Frank is actually my supervisor. So Frank was my supervisor for about 9 months, and he was a good supervisor. I mean, he was, he did his thing. He was pretty, autonomous. Like, do your thing as long as you're doing your job. I'm cool. However, he'd come by, say, hey, how's it going, Audrey? I'm like, Audrey? I'm like, who's Audrey? And I'd be like, it's Audra. Didn't matter. Next week, how's it going, Audrey? It's Audra. But after the third week, I'm like, it didn't matter. So anyways, people on my team would be like, isn't it hilarious that he continues to call you Audrey? I'm like, yeah, it's hilarious because we're dating now. But of course, this was after. So, he was my supervisor for about 9 months. So this was 2014, June of 2014, 2017. March 2017. Yeah. We get a message. March 2017, we get a message saying Frank DeMarco is retiring. I'm like, well, he's my supervisor for the first 9 months. I'm like, I'll send him, I'll bring him some cookies. I like to make cookies. Whatever. So I'm like, congratulations, Frank. You're retiring. It's a wonderful thing. And so he's like, it's good to keep in touch with people. Like, what's your email address? So I give him my email address. I'm like, yeah, I can't disregard that. I'm like, yeah, it's good to keep up with people. You never know who you might need, So, right, exactly. So anyways, a week later goes by, he's like, hey, I have an appointment with the Coast Guard to do whatever, and like, hey, I'm gonna be in the office. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm thinking, hey, why don't we have some coffee or whatever? I'm thinking, okay, he's a social guy. He's gonna invite all these people from the team, whatever. And he's like, okay, it didn't work out. So on St. Patrick's Day, he's like, hey, don't have anything going on. And I'm like, what's going on St. Patrick's Day? St. Patrick's Day. I'm like, I don't know. Working, going home, whatever. He's like, why don't we go out? And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, it's gonna be a big group. So leave the office, go out to the lobby. There's Frank. I'm like, where's everybody else? He's like, it's just me. I'm like, oh. They're like, oh. I get it now. I'm like, all right. So anyway, so we have a good time. We go, it's St. Patrick's Day, and we go to we go to the German club. Yeah, we go. Yeah, so the Hofbrau House of all places. Yeah. So we go to the Hofbrau House. We have a great time. Have a good time. So, anyways, he invites me to his place later, and I'm like, woo!
It was snowing.
Why should you drive 30 miles back home when I'm like 10 miles here and you gotta go to work tomorrow? Like, well, you got a point. He's like, I got a spare bedroom. And he was very respectful, I will admit. However, when I get to his home, he opens the door and there's a path. There's a path from his garage to his doorway. And then when I get into his home, there's a path to his living room. And he's like, oh, there's construction going on. There's flooring going on. I'm like, okay, I get it. So immediately, like, all right, so I will admit, I watch Hoarders a lot. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a hoarder. And I'm like, I gotta get into this guy's mind because I'm like addicted to this show. Like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? So of course I got every excuse, like, hey, I'm doing flooring over here. Like, I'm moving stuff to California over here. I'm like, all right, like, it makes sense to me. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta straighten this guy up. This guy is like, he's got issues. So of course, we start dating. And of course, he speaks Italian. He's Sicilian, He speaks fluent Sicilian. And I'm like, all right, I gotta be the good girlfriend. I gotta learn Sicilian or Italian. And so I start searching. I'm like, all right, what are some endearing terms? Like, and I'm like, all right. So I'm like, all right. What comes up? And I'm like, tesoro. I'm like, all right, treasure. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute. I'm like, treasure. And then as I look through the definitions of tesoro, it says hoarder. Like, this is the definition. You are my neo tesoro.
Double meaning. I didn't know that.
Not really treasure, but hoarder. Anyways, Frank, honest to God, you have been the dream of my life. You're a hoarder. We are the yin and yang of each other. Frank is the planner, and I am the doer. So Frank says, let's do this. And I'm like, all right, I'm on it. So, we just work through it. I love them to pieces. It's like if I say, hey, let's go somewhere, and usually it's him saying, let's go somewhere, and like, he's got the plans, he's got the plane tickets figured out, and it's like, all right, we're going, whatever. I mean, it just works out wonderfully. So, but anyway, so I just want to go to the people who are here today that I actually, so I want to acknowledge my mom. My mom has been wonderful. My mom has been here time and time again. She loves Frank to pieces, probably more than me, but she looks amazing. I will say she is 77 years old, and I'm 53. It's documented. It's on my birth certificate. I can't deny it. So,
She was 77 when she had you.
no, not when she had me, but yes. Today she is 77. And funny enough, I was born at 7 pounds 7 ounces, and yeah, so it's kind of a seven thing is a thing, yeah. So, but I love her to pieces. She has been instrumental. She's been cutting celery. She's been cutting carrots. She's been like doing everything. While I'm like, Frank decided to do this planning thing, and I'm like, all right, like, Mom, go at it. Like, go cut these things. So the other thing I want to acknowledge are my girls, Amanda and Emily. What?
Why do you look that
Because I didn't know where you were. Okay. Amanda and Emily, you are my world. You have been everything and anything to me. I mean, I will start crying if I continue, but
I didn't drive 17 hours to cry.
I know. So Emily lives in Tampa. She, literally drove 17 hours to be here today. Amanda drove about an hour and a half, but I mean, I love her to pieces. They are my blessing. They are my biggest accomplishment, and I can't say enough about my girls. Now, I will say, when I was first married, I told myself I'm only having boys, and I had 2 girls. So, I will say, Colin, you are a welcome to me. I love you to pieces. I couldn't say enough. You are awesome. Going on to my cousin Frank and my cousins, Brenda and Frank, because I drink too much.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. So Brenda and Frank, I love you to pieces. They came from New Jersey, and love you to pieces. Frank and Brenda are both funeral directors, so if anyone dies of excitement today, we're all covered. I have a family. I love my Monsoon family. I know I was married previously. I love my Monsoon family. They have accepted me more so than their actual family member. And so I just want to make a shout out to my brother and sister-in-law, Kevin and Pam, my cousins, Bob and Becky, and I love you to pieces. You couldn't have been more loyal, more supportive. I love you to pieces. Let's see. And then my other family members, Dave and Judy. I love you to pieces. You supported me. You supported my kids. You helped me raising my kids. It couldn't have been more important to me than ever. Let's see. Oh, and then Dave, I know you really enjoyed me hanging wallpaper in your house. So, anyways, I'm pretty handy, just so you know. But Dave really enjoyed me hanging wallpaper in his house. All right. Then, as far as non-blood family, Chris, you are my true family. I mean, we got divorced in 2002 together, and you are a longtime friend. Yes, exactly. Oh. You may not be blood family, but you are my true family. And I could not have lived in Amherst, Ohio without Chris. I don't even know how to describe our relationship, but we've gone travels with our kids. We're just like, let's go. She is a flight attendant, so we're just like, let's get on this flight. Let's go to California. Let's go to Hawaii, which got diverted to Florida. But I mean, we've had so much fun with the girls, with the, whatever needs to happen. We've made it happen, and we've had a great run of it. And of course, acknowledging my other Amherst friends, Amy and Dan, I mean, I lived in Amherst for 21 years, Amherst, Ohio, and I mean, I couldn't expect anybody to be more supportive and more accepting ever. And then as far as wine is concerned, I mean, Chris and I only drink one glass of wine ever because it just kind of replenished by itself. So it's only one glass. Yeah. Jarvis's, where are you guys? There they are. So these are my new, I don't even know how